But first, the big story, and it's coming from the Kashmir Valley, where it appears the gun has been defeated, at least in the first phase of polling in Jammu and Kashmir. The state recorded a 70% voter turnout without any untoward incident in the 15 constituencies that went to the polls. Voters defying both the election boycott call by separatists as well as the cold weather, turning out in large numbers to cast their ballot. Elections taking place in 6 seats in Jammu Division, 5 in the valley, 4 in Ladakh. 61% voter turnout was recorded in these 15 seats. Now it's up to 70. Shujaul Haq has our top story this Tuesday night.
An overwhelming testimony to the winds of change sweeping Jammu and Kashmir. Long queues of voters trooping poll booths across the state in the first phase of polls. It was an open defiance of terror groups and separatists calling for poll boycott.
हम बदलाव चाहते थे यहाँ पर, तो यहाँ पर खासकर बेरोजगारी है। हाँ, नौकरी नहीं मिल रही है।
बहुत सी प्रॉब्लम होती है ना, इसलिए वोट चाहते हैं अच्छे इंसान को देना जो हमारी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करे बस।
A heavy turnout of over 70% was reported in the polls, which were almost incident-free. The turnout was 5% more than that in 2008 state polls and a sharp 17 higher than recent Lok Sabha polls.
A good election management, good security and environment, confidence building, then the measures that we take for voter awareness. I think it's a combination of all factors, and then maybe the zeal of voters it's an endorsement for the Indian democracy.
Crucially, the elections were entirely peaceful. Reports of a crude blast outside Bandipora polling booth was denied by authorities.
नहीं, कोई बम वगैरह नहीं फटा। जो हमारी इन्फॉर्मेशन, हम मौके पे भी गए, एक पटाखा लगता है जिससे कोई नुकसान वगैरह नहीं हुआ है।
One thing is very important to understand here, that under the shadow of all the problems and all the odds, these people have defied everything and have decided to come out to cast their votes. And this is not just the male folks of the community, but it's the female folks are also equally excited about exercising their mandate.
With Shujaul Haq in Bandipora and Ashwini Kumar in Kishtwar, Bureau Report, headlines today.
Okay, let's go straight on the top to our newsmaker this Tuesday night. Omar Abdullah, the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. Appreciate your joining us, Omar Abdullah. How do you explain a 70% voter turnout? Is that a sign that people have faith in the democratic process? Because interestingly, you tweeted, I wonder how long it will be before someone gives the credit for the high voter turnout to the BJP. I presume that's a joke. Who are you giving the credit really to the high voter turnout to?
Well, this credit goes only to those people who braved the cold weather and came out, stood in line for a long time and waited to cast their ballots. This credit cannot be taken by anybody else. Yes, security forces, the state government, the election commission, everybody contributed to create an environment that was conducive for people to come out. But at the end of the day, not a single voter has accused anybody of harassment. Nobody was forced to come out. If there is a 70% turnout, then that is a 70% turnout of willing voters who came of their own free will and cast their vote.
So you're seeing this as a defeat for the separatists, defeat for those who called for a boycott. Because interestingly, I was looking at 2002 figures, Omar, and then in these 15 constituencies, it was around 43%. So it's gone up in that context in the last decade or so by over 20%. So does that, to your mind, indicate a decline in the popularity of separatists?
I think a more recent comparison would be in order, and that is the parliament elections. Now, I think if you would look at these constituencies, I very much doubt whether the turnout would have crossed 50% and that's only 6 months ago. So obviously, I think it indicates that assembly elections attract more interest on the part of the voters. I think it's also a little unfair to suggest that people defied a separatist boycott call, because just a few days ago, Syed Ali Shah Gilani actually withdrew his boycott call. He said that he was not going to be calling for a boycott of these elections, and that he wanted the voters to make up their own minds whether it was appropriate for them to vote or not. And clearly, the voters have decided that it is appropriate for them to vote. And in the absence of any sort of structured call or any sort of structured attempt to keep them indoors, they will come out and they will cast their votes, and they will decide who they want to have represent them.
You know, Omar Abdullah, let me put it differently. Of the 15 assemblies seats which went to the polls today, 7 are held by the National Conference, 6 are held by your former ally, the Congress. Does it suggest that people want both of you out? Normally, high voter turnout suggests anti-incumbency. Does that worry you?
Well, you know, Rajdeep, we had low voter turnout in the parliament elections, and I lost all 3 seats in the valley, and the Congress lost the 2 seats in Jammu and Ladakh. So, I mean, you can either have one or the other. You can't suggest that low voter turnout and we lost, and high voter turnout also we're going to lose. One or the other has to be wrong. And
Traditionally, high voter turnout is a sign of anti-incumbency. Traditionally, is a sign that people want change.
No, that may be the case, but when you've seen low voter turnout and you've also had anti-incumbency, so how does that explain it then?
You know,
I'd like to believe that in this case, people have been given a chance to vote without any sort of fear, without any sort of threat, and they've come out and voted. And therefore, the traditional rules of anti-incumbency, they work in states where you don't have boycott calls, where you don't have militancy, where you don't have blasts during the election process. They don't apply in elections like this.
You know, people will say, though, Omar, that the other view is that high voter turnout also suggests that the Modi wave is also reaching Jammu and Kashmir and the valley, that there are parts of the valley and certainly in parts of Jammu where there is enthusiasm for Narendra Modi and the BJP for the first time. To that extent, are you willing to concede that maybe that factor is also playing a role in the high voter turnout?
Look, the Modi factor will be a factor in Jammu. There is no denying that. But I can assure you, none of the seats that have gone to the polls in the valley today are going to the BJP. I doubt whether the BJP candidates in any of these seats will even save their deposits. And therefore, to suggest that this high voter turnout is because of some great expectations from Prime Minister Modi, I think is stretching things a bit too far. Nobody can deny that Prime Minister Modi will have an impact for the BJP, particularly in Jammu region, and he'd better, because otherwise the BJP has no leg to stand on. Their candidates are virtually unknown, untested. Nobody has any idea who they are. They're all counting on only one factor, and that is Narendra Modi coming and swinging things for the BJP.
But he is willing to come. He is willing. He's going to come to Srinagar. He's coming into your area. He's taking you on, questioning whether the fact, questioning the fact that 2 families have dominated politics of the valley for decades now. So he's willing to actually, in a sense, beard you in your own den. Are you at all worried that Narendra Modi is a factor at all?
No, not at all. I'm quite happy to take him on in Jammu, and if he wants to return the favour in the valley, absolutely fine. That's what democracy is all about. I'd like to hear from the Prime Minister where he stands on issues that the BJP has traditionally used to divide voters, where the BJP stands on Article 370, where the BJP stands on the flag of Jammu and Kashmir, where the BJP stands on the constitution of Jammu and Kashmir, because these are all important issues. And I hope the Prime Minister does come and address these issues when he comes to Srinagar.
But let me tell you the fear. The fear, Omar, is that there are two states literally voting this time. There's Jammu and there's the valley. I mean, to an extent even greater than ever before, we are seeing a possible divide. Does that worry you? 87 seats on offer, and the fact is that Jammu could vote very differently to the valley. Ladakh caught in the middle, that we aren't really seeing a state which seems to be voting in a unified manner. And the issues are very different.
Rajdeep, unfortunately, we tend to look at the last couple of elections and form all our analysis on those numbers. But if you look at Jammu and Kashmir traditionally, before militancy, this is exactly what used to happen. The National Conference would dominate the valley, and the Congress would win in Jammu. And the seats in the hills, whether Doda, Rajouri, Poonch, those would be divided amongst the National Conference and the Congress. Ladakh also would divide between Kargil and Ladakh. So there's nothing new here. In fact, if anything, I think the divisions now are less than they were in 2008. Please remember the 2008 assembly elections took place on the back of the most horrible violence in both parts of the state over the Amarnath land row. And therefore, today, there is no such issue that is dividing people. Yes, political parties are in the field. Jammu will split between the Congress and the BJP. Some of the hill areas of Jammu could go to any one of the four parties that are contesting. The valley is largely a fight between two parties. It is a fight between the National Conference and the PDP. As a fringe player, you have the Congress. And the BJP was hoping, I think, to take advantage of a low voter turnout to swing some seats, but that doesn't look likely to happen now.
Let me ask you just a couple of more questions. One feeling, a potted analysis, is that the valley is going to the PDP and Jammu is going to the BJP. Congress being squeezed out in Jammu, you being squeezed out in the valley. Is that something that, again, seems to worry you in a way?
No, it doesn't. In fact, it makes it easier to fight an election because there's no pressure on me. Since people, experts, so-called experts sitting in Delhi and Australia and places like that have written me off, there is far less pressure on me than if they were expecting me to deliver a two-thirds majority. I'm enjoying this election, I'm enjoying this campaign. If anything, I'm out to prove these people wrong. And I have no doubt when the election results come out on the 23rd, there are going to be some surprises.
And you're on your own because your father is unwell. He's in London. It's virtually Omar Abdullah now fighting on his own for his political survival.
My political survival, as much as some people would like to suggest that this is the last election I'll fight if I do badly, I'm 44. Worst case scenario, even if this election doesn't work out well for me, I don't think anybody can suggest that one bad election is the end of anybody's political career. There are people who've lost very many more elections than this and come back. How many elections did Chandrababu Naidu's party lose before he came back as Chief Minister of Andhra? How many elections did Mamata Banerjee lose before she came as Chief Minister of West Bengal? So on and so forth. I can give you numerous examples. And therefore, while I miss having my father around to campaign, I miss having his help, his support, I'm not for a moment worried that these election results could in any way be the end of my political career. If anything, it's just one election and there'll be many more elections after this.
You're sounding very different in conclusion to the Omar Abdullah that I've known for a long time. You sound like someone who, as you say, is prepared to virtually take defeat because you feel like almost like a batsman who's under no pressure because everyone's writing you off. So I presume at the moment that...
No, actually, it's not as if I'm preparing for defeat. As I said, I'm actually preparing to surprise some of you. Okay. It's just so much easier when I don't have the weight of your expectations resting on my shoulders. Okay. When you've already suggested that I'm not really going to do anything, then anything I do is a surprise for you. And believe me, I'm going to have some big surprises on the 23rd.
Okay, we'll wait for the 23rd, Omar. It's a long election in Jammu and Kashmir. There are several phases. Good news, though, from the first phase. It's gone without violence and it's also seen a high voter turnout. So positive sides for Indian democracy. Appreciate your taking off the time off your busy schedule, Omar Abdullah, to join us here at the top of the 9 o'clock news. Let's then turn from Kashmir back home, or back to Delhi, really, where it's the winter test of Narendra Modi that's begun. And on the first working day of the session of Parliament, it's been a stormy day. And the opposition has apparently taken the storm literally by actually using umbrellas. The Trinamool Congress wielding black umbrellas as a sign of protest on the black money issue. But as a result, several major bills could get stalled. Brajesh Pandey and Kamaljit Sandhu report from Parliament.
TMC MPs protesting at Parliament Gate with black umbrellas. Umbrellas saying, "Bring back black money." Hours later, the same umbrellas brandished in the well of the Lok Sabha by agitating MPs, protesting against the failure of the government to deliver on its promise to bring back black money.
TMC on warpath with BJP. You can see the TMC MPs here carrying black umbrellas with "Get Black Money Back." This is the particular motto, obviously carrying that symbolic black umbrella and saying, "Get that black money back."
TMC soon joined the protest by the Samajwadi Party and JDU. walking out in Lok Sabha and seeking suspension of the question hour in Rajya Sabha.
जो हमारी जिम्मेदारी विपक्ष की है वो जिम्मेदारी पूरी निभा रहे हैं। अब सरकार मानमानी करेंगे तो फिर को जनता के बीच जब जाना पड़ेगा तो जनता इनको पूछने की जवाब भी दे देगी। हमने टीएमसी ने मिलकर के अभी दिया है क्वेश्चन आवर खत्म करने के लिए और काले धन पर बहस चलाने के लिए, तो टीएमसी के इस प्रोटेस्ट में हम उनके साथ।
The government on its part says it is ready for a discussion on black money, but has stressed it will not allow disruptions in parliament proceedings. The parliamentary party of the BJP has reportedly already prepared for debate on the black money issue. MPs were asked not to skip any house proceedings.
I want a thorough debate to take place. That's why I am getting bills listed. They will be discussed, they will be debated, they will be voted tomorrow.
Without the opposition in the house?
I hope the opposition will come back. I don't think public opinion will support any such action of boycotting or abstaining from the house for long.
Meanwhile, BJP is already wooing the Congress, trying to manage numbers in the Rajya Sabha for its reform push. The government has agreed to grant more time to the Select Committee on the insurance bill, giving in to Congress demands for more time to study changes in the...
Okay, let me raise the big question. Will a united opposition now stall crucial economic legislation in this winter session of Parliament? That's the big talking point today. Let me give you a sense of why the numbers are so important. Take a look at the Rajya Sabha, and this is where Narendra Modi and the NDA face a problem. NDA has 61 at the moment only in the Rajya Sabha. This is a 240-member Rajya Sabha, just 61. UPA has 79, others have 96, which is why the NDA is desperately short of the halfway mark. It will need parties like the NCP, AIDMK, BJD, and even with those friendly parties, it's only up to 84, which is why the government is so worried whether, compared to the opposition with 133, can it actually make a difference when it comes to economic legislation. Let's go straight to our talking point. Joining me now is Abhishek Manu Singhvi of the Congress, Derek O'Brien of the Trinamool Congress. I'm also joined by Jai Panda of the BJD and Kirit Somaya of the BJP. I want to start with you, Derek O'Brien, because I want to know, what were you doing today with umbrellas in the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha? Do you believe that these are the kind of images that we need? Do we really need as a country MPs going with umbrellas into the well of the house simply to block Parliament at the start of a very important winter session?
See, this is a parliamentary democracy. The first thing I need to clarify, Rajdeep, is the Trinamool Congress, like another gentleman in this program from Odisha, the BJD, and the AIDMK, we are all coming off election wins. So we are, our body language, our psychological thing are not like many other parties who haven't done very well in the Lok Sabha elections. So there's no reason for us to play politics.
However, please, and I hope my producer will show the pictures of you with umbrellas in Parliament. I want to know, what is a member of Parliament going into the well of the House with umbrellas? What is the impression? Surely, you want to have protest outside the House. In the House, surely it is important to allow question hour to take place, to allow important discussions on crucial economic legislation to take place.
There's nothing wrong with that, because sometimes messages, the message is important and the medium is important. So the message was Kala Dhan Vapas Lao, and the medium which is usually used, are those posters or those placards. Today, the Trinamool Congress, my colleagues in the Lok Sabha, not us in the Rajya Sabha, my colleagues in the Lok Sabha, and outside Parliament, we used, the message was Kala Dhan Vapas Lao, so we used a creative medium.
So you use black umbrellas, you use black umbrellas to register your protest against black money. But Abhishek Manu Singhvi, am I to understand this black money issue?
One
minute, Derek. Let me come to Abhishek. Is this black money issue simply now a stalling device to somehow or the other send out the message that the opposition is going to do exactly to the government what the government did to the Congress party when you were in power, tit for tat politics, adjourn Parliament session after session?
Actually, given the abysmal record of the BJP in obstructing, hypocritically obstructing, deliberately obstructing. That is what they deserve. But as the only session after their coming to power, we've already had one session, shows that we have not done unto them what they have done to us. In June, we have been far more cooperative. The statistics show that 40% time maximum ever in the history of Parliament was lost in the UPA regime because of the opposition captured on candid camera. So that's point number one. We are not doing tit for tat. Congress is not doing it, although certainly they deserve it. Secondly, the issues, it has to be issue-based coordination, Rajdeep. I may not agree with you on issue A, I may agree with you on issue B. The issue you just mentioned has been an issue which a lot of parties have raised outside Parliament for the last 2 months. So absolutely on that issue there will be resonance across parties.
The government has even agreed to a debate on it. The government has even agreed to a debate on black money because the government wants to pass crucial economic legislation. I want to know on this program, are you committed to passing that legislation? Because you apparently outside Parliament agreed to raise, for example, insurance from 26 to 49%. Will you do that inside Parliament?
Very simple answer.
Yes.
Very simple answer. And the answer is going to be very specific.
Yes.
There are 3 models possible. Unfortunately, this government doesn't show us the things till literally the day before. We don't know the nitty-gritty. But if the nitty-gritty, the details where God and devil both reside are more or less identical or slightly dissimilar to our versions, certainly we are not going to be hypocritical. But equally, if there is a significant change even in one clause, we reserve our right to raise the issue. There is no blank check in advance, but equally there is a difference between having our right to make constructive criticism, oppose tooth and nail.
Will you support the insurance bill? The same insurance bill that you were pushing when you were in government, will you now support it now that you are in the opposition?
That's begging the question, Rajdeep. That's begging the question.
That's not begging the question.
Insurance bill as the select committee, I'll tell you, as the select committee passes it, and I'll give you a categorical answer. Yes, if it's the same bill, answer is yes, unqualified.
Okay.
But if, as we know, a lot of changes are being proposed, especially by the BJP, and if something different comes out of the select committee, we reserve our right absolutely.
Okay,
because we think we did a good job on that bill.
Can I ask that to you, Jai Panda, because the Biju Janata Dal and smaller parties could have a crucial role given the numbers that the government has in the Rajya Sabha to pass this economic legislation. You are now being seen as sort of friendly parties. Are you willing to be friendly to the NDA, to Narendra Modi, or are you going to stand with Abhishek Manu Singhvi and the Trinamool Congress and oppose this government when it comes to economic legislation?
First of all, Rajdeep, I take objection to the classification of BJP as one of the smaller parties, because with 20 members in the Lok Sabha, we are fairly significant.
Okay.
And let me point
out... Friendly party. Are you objecting to the use of the word friendly party?
Let me explain. Now, we are clearly in the opposition. We are not part of the NDA. We are not part of the government. And our President, Shri Naveen Patnaik, has spelled out that we are equidistant from both the BJP and the Congress, but also that we are going to take on legislative business on merit of each individual case. So we are not going to be meaninglessly and mindlessly disruptive. And also, I think it is important, Rajdeep, you should point out that the disruptions that you show today in the Lok Sabha only happened in the morning in question hour and a little bit after that. The entire afternoon was productive and legislative business was conducted in the Lok Sabha. And in fact, our members of the BJD also participated in that debate and discussion in the bills. So our stand is going to be, we are going to take each issue on the merits. I don't want to go to the extent of describing ourselves as friendly to the government, but I would say we are neutral and we would take up each issue on the merits. We are going to support those bills which we think is in the national interest and is in Odisha's interest, but it won't be mindless.
Will you support the insurance bill, for example? The big economic legislation in this session is expected to be insurance from 26 to 49. It's been hanging fire for almost 2 decades now. I want to know, are you ready to support it in this parliament session, yes or no? Categorical answer.
Yes, I'll give you a categorical answer. In fact, I've been seeing some hemming and hawing, but my categorical answer is we supported it in the Lok Sabha and I expect that we will be consistent and we will support it in the Rajya Sabha.
Okay.
My personal view is that insurance reform is required because millions of Indian citizens, particularly the poor and the disenfranchised, require access to insurance, and we have to allow much more investment in the insurance sector. So yes, I think we will be consistent and support.
Okay, I'm going to then put that to you, Kirit Somaya. The problem for you and this government till 2016 is that you don't have the numbers in the Rajya Sabha. You need to work with parties. You need to work with them on the goods and services tax. You need to work with them on insurance. Is Narendra Modi willing to reach out to these parties? Or is Narendra Modi's attitude ekla chalo re? As a result of which, even the Shiv Sena, your ally, doesn't want to support you in parliament. Is your problem that this ekla chalo re politics that Narendra Modi and Amit Shah have started means that you will never have the numbers to win a major vote in parliament now?
Rajdeep, let me make it clear that we want all to support and go hands in hand for the development. Whether it is the insurance bill, you know, in insurance also we went for the select committee. Let the select committee propose whatever improvement, correction, suggestion. We are with open mind. Simultaneously, we certainly appreciate that the first session, the first of the new Lok Sabha, the monsoon session went very well. And we are very much sure during the winter session also there could be some incident, but
Kirit Somaya, you're not answering my question. Even the Shiv Sena, your ally, is deserting you in parliament. You're being isolated in parliament. You're winning elections. It's helping you in Maharashtra, helping you in Haryana. You're winning elections. You're losing the numbers in parliament.
That's what I'm telling you. We are with open mind. If our friendly party also suggests something, some correction, we are open mind. And that's why whoever for the positive development of the country comes and gives us suggestion, we are taking them with. And I'm very much sure whether it is the insurance bill or other financial bill,